and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinion. Once your request has been heard, each side will have 10 minutes to speak. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting, or you may contact staff at the office the next day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render its decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any aggrieved parties may appeal the decision by the board to the City Council within 15 days for procedural issues only. If your request is denied by the board, petitioners may appeal the board's decision to the circuit court within 30 days of the meeting. We have 6 members present. It takes 5 votes to pass a motion. All right, Mr. Payne is here, 7 people. It takes 5 votes to pass a motion. Because of the number of board members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your project is announced. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce members of the Architectural Review Board. We have Cedric Campbell, Jeremy Kelly, Katie, John Foshee, David Payne, Kalia's not here, and John Hayden. Thank you. Our land use staff is Christy Anderson. Russell Stringer is the king of trees. We have Ethan Fowler. Hey, Ethan. Paula Wade and Javon Hines. All right. Our first item, Michael Jenkins, Garden District, 1539 South Court Street.
Good evening. My name is Michael Jenkins, and we're requesting approval for some improvements to 1539 South Court Street. The first is to add cedar shingles to the front gables, half timbering to the side and rear gables, add trim to all the windows, and then paint the body of the house hail navy, which is not an approved color.
Which is what?
Not an approved color.
Okay. Have we got samples of
it? Yeah, there's a paint chip.
Okay, I saw it.
Which is the not approved color, Mike?
The blue.
Which is not the blue,
Yeah, that blue one.
but it's another good-looking blue. It is.
There's an example of what I have in mind in the packet.
And you're using this for the body of the house, not the trim or anything?
That's right. The trim will be an off-white.
Would that it were really like that. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak to this project? All right, board, any comments?
Looks good to me. I move that we approve as submitted.
Well, I have a comment or
I'm
two.
sorry, excuse me.
Yes, that's all right. In general, why am I echoing throughout the chamber tonight? I don't know. In general, I think that really dark colors can be ponderous, and especially if what we're talking about is blue. If you go with a dark color, I think it probably needs to be in an earth tone palette. Blue houses just don't get it most of the time, but I'm not going to vote against it, but I would recommend that you think about it.
The darker color was really intended to hide the fact that it's a cinder block house. It's not going to be as obvious that it's a
Yeah.
cinder block house.
I figured that was why, make it go away.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Mr. Foschi, you've made a motion approved as submitted?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Go and paint your house navy blue.
Thank you.
And you have a second one.
Yep, next door at 1549 South Court Street. This house was damaged several years ago. The brick has been missing for quite a while, and we're requesting approval to fix the house and then paint the brick. And it will be an approved color, an
Okay.
off-white.
Is there anyone in the audience to comment on this project? Any comments from the board? If so, I'll accept the motion.
I guess the only thing we're really voting on is the painting of the brick.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay, if that's the case, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily Thomas?
I was just thinking, as I said, I had a neighbor
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I recently purchased a home on St. Charles Avenue in Capitol Heights. And prior to purchasing the home under inspection, the front porch is a slight sag right across the middle there. And my proposal is to install support columns that would correct and then, prevent any other kind of continued sag in the porch there. The columns are pretty straightforward and basic. We're working with Guyette Roofing, and they've assured me that there should be no problem in matching to the existing columns that they're there. So there'll be 2 sets of columns across the front and consistent with kind of the homes that are nearby and in the neighborhood there. So.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this? Comments from the board? Certainly seems straightforward enough. I'll take a motion then.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second? Second. All in favor? Opposed? All right, go and
Great.
put your columns up.
Thank you so much.
I know, and it's horrible. Hillary Gamble, Garden District, Rose Lane.
Hi there. Good evening. I am in the process of closing on a home at 395 Rose Lane, and there is a large tree that is very close to the back of the house, which has been causing damage to the siding, the patio, and the walkway behind the home. I'm worried that the root system that's below the tree might be affecting the foundation of the home over time, and also the AC system, the larger of the systems in the house, is on a cement foundation that is very close to the tree as well. The branches from the tree overhang the house significantly, and I am also afraid that if the tree becomes any more diseased than it currently is, that they may fall on the home and cause a lot of damage as well. So I'm requesting that we remove it, but I would be willing to replant another tree of you guys' desire, somewhere not as close to the home, preferably.
All right, is there anyone in the audience to speak to this? Mr. Stringer, how about your opinion?
I did inspect the tree. I disagreed with the assessment that the tree was dying. I looked at this tree at the end of 2 months of drought, and I saw drought stress, which is a lot different. Tree roots and conventional foundations usually aren't a problem because foundation is above ground. And it's fairly rare for the Garden District American elm tree.
I couldn't understand you.
An American elm,
Uh-huh.
kind of rare. We don't see many anymore. I advise Ms. Gamble that, if you chose to deny this request, we can look again in the spring, make for sure about the tree's health. If it has issues, y'all don't need to see it again. We can expedite a removal. Beyond that, I'm also happy to work with them on how to properly trim this tree away from the house and get that canopy lifted up and remove some of the issues that are stated here.
Looks like someone has allowed ivy to grow up it, which doesn't do any tree any good. Other comments from the board?
Madam Chair, my comment is based on Mr. Stringer's assessment of the tree being healthy and the fact that he's willing to help the petitioner or work with the petitioner on trimming or things of that sort. It would be it'd be hard for me to approve removal of the tree at this point.
Ms. Gamble, would you be opposed to waiting until, like Mr. Springer said, the springtime, have it reassessed again? And if it is dying, I mean, we understand it is a rare species of a rare elm to have it in the area. If it's damaging the house, I am not going to vote for the tree over the house. But I do want to have a little more information. I don't think it would cause any extended damage between now and springtime. Would you be, I'm not sure how procedurally we could do, if we could table this for, what time, Russell, during the spring would you think of to assess it again to see what it might look like?
Early May.
May?
Mm-hmm. And at that point, I am her arborist, and if it needs to come back to the board, I'm going to advise her to bring it back to the board.
I mean, I want to do what is possible before we cut down what apparently is a rare tree in this area.
I agree, definitely. I don't want to get rid of the tree. It is a beautiful tree. It is just so close to the home, and it's overhanging my house. So yeah, if
I have
at
neighbors'
any
trees
point-
overhanging mine too, and that's in these older neighborhoods, ma'am. It's just not uncommon. But again, trimming the tree and waiting a few months until to the spring, when I think it'd be a better time to assess it. And if it is dying, and of course I know from Mr. Springer, all trees die eventually. But if it is in danger of dying or soon, or if it's endangering foundational issues, whatnot, I'll be the one making the motion to let you take it down. But I would like to exhaust all avenues first.
Okay.
And I would also suggest that you could consider, in combination with the tree trimming, installation of gutters on those rear eaves, because that will also help channel water away from those spots where there are obvious deterioration at this point.
So procedurally, can I move to table this issue until our May meeting?
Until the tree leaves out?
Ma'am?
Until the tree leaves out?
Yes, until, I guess, our May meeting, Mr. Stringer? Is that okay with you, Ms. Campbell?
That's fine.
Okay. I so move.
All right. If you table it, we don't have to do anything, do we?
All right, then. Again, that's why I asked you to proceed.
Can we table it that long?
Yes.
I move. Yes.
I mean, you can table items pending further information, and if it's not possible to get that further information until then, yes. But we have generally asked them to make that a motion, haven't we?
Yes.
So we do need a second
Okay.
and
I move to table consideration of this request until the May 2020 meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. Thank you, Ms. Reiser. I'm sorry, Ms. Gamble. Ms. Reiser, you're next.
Hi, I purchased a home in the Garden District, didn't realize I was in the Garden District.
Can you speak a little closer, move the
Sorry.
microphone closer to you?
I purchased a home in the Garden District, did not realize at the time it was in the Garden District, and had some trees removed, and the gentleman who cut my trees did not do anything that was supposed to be done, and told me the trees were dying as well. And so I'm kind of here to beg forgiveness. And so I am willing to replant the trees though. And I've already spoke to Mr. Russell about that and willing to work with him to do so.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak to this project? Comments from the board?
Mr. Reiser, did your realtor tell you that your home was just outside of the district?
Yes, sir.
We really need to get these realtors a map.
We have maps available. We got money in my I actually got a budget this year to record with the deed that a property is designated. So, as you might imagine, the county probate office has been undergoing some changes.
I understand.
But we'll work with them to get that started on getting it recorded with as many deeds as we can. So when someone does a title search, it's going to pop up.
Well, we're actually having issues receiving our deed correctly because there's been several issues with our deed. We haven't even received it and we closed September 10th.
Well, again, my concern is, and you know, the Alabama Real Estate Realtors Association is right across the street from the Attorney General's office. Maybe you could drop, you know, they have continuing education all the time. I'm sure Montgomery does too, and I'll get off my soapbox, but these folks need to, if they don't know, they need to say they don't know, they don't need to guess.
I taught continuing education courses. I got certified as an instructor through the State Real Estate Commission, and for 4 years taught courses out at the Montgomery Area Association of Realtors, and then they stopped asking me to do it because we offered it for free. So they handled the paper. It was a free continuing ed course, and it was full every time, but it was usually about the same 70 people every time.
Yeah.
And there were, I think I was told at that time, there were about 660 licensed real estate agents. So we got, a tenth.
Well, and the other thing I have a problem with, now Ms. Reiser is going to have to pay to have trees replaced on her property, and that shouldn't be the case. We need to see if we can get an ordinance passed or something that if this comes up and they screw this up yet again, make the realtor pay for it.
That would be nice.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
No, especially because I got to pay another tree company to come in and finish the work.
I understand. And I'm now again off my soapbox.
Ms. Anderson, I understand this one is a violation, and she clearly didn't know that she was in the Garden District, but what are we ruling on today?
What is before you is, in cases of violations, it is your job to look at this as though she had come to you first. And oftentimes, if it's a tree removal, and obviously we can't see what the trees look like before, where someone wants to remove and replace, there have certainly been instances where you have made those approvals. So she is asking for approval after the fact, to remove and replace.
So if the request is denied, what happens after that point?
She can appeal that to circuit court, and then we would have to take her to municipal court for the violation. It is my understanding that Russell is working to find the individual who did the tree work to pursue that avenue.
How many trees was it?
4.
There were 4 large trees removed. There were several smaller trees. I had initially asked for two large trees that were in the front to be removed were the large trees. Because the roots were damaging the front of the home and the sidewalk and stuff. But then he said that they were dying, and everything, and then he kept finding more trees that were supposedly dying. And I don't climb trees, I don't know, so I took his word.
I don't climb trees
And
either.
so I wasn't climbing up a tree to look in myself. And so there ended up being 4 large trees that were cut, and then quite a few small trees that were cut down. And I'm not sure exactly how many of the small trees. And so I
Well,
know
if they're-
quite
if
a
they're-
few of the small ones
If they're
are
smaller
dead.
than 12 inches in
Yeah.
diameter?
Right.
Diameter.
It's
The
not
the small
subject.
trees, we don't.
No,
we
they
don't
weren't
worry
that
about.
big. They were small.
So it's really the ones that are like bigger
Yes,
than
ma'am.
a
One of
a
them
dinner
I
plate.
know, and I can show you the picture. I think y'all actually have the
Yeah,
picture of
there.
it.
We do.
We did.
It was widest point to widest point was 5 foot across,
Oh, wow.
and that was in the front. And
I'm
so-
looking at 4 trees with what I'm pursuing against the contractor who has fled the country. 4 trees, 4 significant trees, yeah.
What do we usually ask for on the number of replacement trees?
1 for 1.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, may I have a motion on this project?
Yes, ma'am, we have to take these on a case-by-case basis. In this specific case, I would move to approve the removal of the 4 trees and replace them with the species that, if you would work with Russell Stringer on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. I'm sorry this happened to you.
Thank y'all. And I
luck
will
on
come
your
and
house.
ask permission for anything else, I promise.
Before
She-
you do any painting or anything outside, Ms. Reiser, please come see.
Oh, she
absolutely. I
she
learned
asked
my
if they could
lesson.
have a dumpster. I mean, she really has been calling about everything.
Dalton Turner, Cloverdale Idlewild.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dalton Turner, and my wife and I just purchased a home last month in Cloverdale, Idlewild. And our proposal is just to erect a fence where the current fence is currently and just have it be around 6 feet tall instead of the 3 to 4 feet that we currently have. Just some background information on that. Our neighbors are very noble people, and I understand they take in a lot of cats. However, those cats tend to end up in our yard, and we have a small terrier who's not a big fan of them. And just for the safety of the animals involved, I would really prefer to have a fence there. The existing fence is ornate, and I'm sure it's older. However, it doesn't encompass the entirety of the backyard, and it additionally has some holes in it that have been covered, or I guess patched with some mesh, it seems like. Some of which haven't been covered at all, so I've had to use some items from the garden to keep the dog in. So anyways, that's basically my proposal tonight.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project? Any comments from the board?
You just described the fence, and I'm in Cloverdale, Ottawa. You just described the fence in my backyard, Mr. Turner. I understand your pain.
Thank you.
This is relatively non-controversial. I don't think the picket fence is any great historical item. It looks like it came from a big box store.
Well, better safe than sorry.
All right, may I have a motion on this project?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second motion.
All in favor? All opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Christine Pruitt, Garden District, 100 Felder Avenue. All right. Ms. Christine, what do you want to, you were a fence woman also.
Yes, I'm
All
Chris
right.
Pruitt, and I'm asking for approval after the fact for a fence I've installed at my house at 100 Felder. The house is not a historic house, and I did not realize I needed to ask permission before I put the fence in. We decided to put the fence in after the poor child, the autistic child, was found drowned down the street, and we have a pond. The fence was installed by Jim Gowan. It's cast iron, and I think the finial is going around. That's
All right.
the
Yes.
picture just above was the old fence where you can see the shrubs cover it. And the new one that we just put in that adjoins it and looks the same as it will be covered by the foliage as well.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this? Comments from the board?
Appears just to be an extension, ma'am, of what you already have,
Pretty much.
pretty much.
Subtle, low-key, I don't see any problem with it. May I have a motion?
I'd like to go on record saying that's one of my favorite houses in Montgomery, and I
Thank
do
you.
move to approve as submitted.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We good?
All right. A motion?
Second.
Okay, second? Got that? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Pruitt.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mary Ann McCrory, Capitol Heights, 1603 Madison. Tell us about your project.
I really need, you can see the pod where all my furniture is stored in the background. The house is full of the building materials. I need to kind of switch these around. I moved about 2 years earlier than I had planned because I managed to sell my house off Highland Avenue. It's a prefab shed from, I think the brand is Tough Shed. Oh, there it is. The door will be upright. It's 12 by 16, I believe. We're painting it the same color as we will be doing the house. That, your number, it's Jasper Green. It's 405 with a white trim. I tried to get them to give a more traditional door, but everything I asked for them to do was $750. Just seemed to be the price for everything. Like a window on the side was $750, and making a foot taller was $750. So this is where we are right now.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this? Comments from the board?
How much what?
Hmm?
Oh, I thought,
No, comments from the board.
it is very similar to the shed just on the other side of the backyard fence.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Same size.
And if you can't see the palette board, that 400-5 is that dark black green.
I do plan on planting, I need urban forester help, a sort of a screen. I've just found out that you can get bamboo that isn't invasive.
If you can find bamboo, ma'am, that's not invasive, please let me know where you find it.
Well, online, clumping, they say.
Madam Chair, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All right. All in favor? All right, fine. Ms. McCrory, go and get your,
I can put the sheetrock out of the living room. Thank you.
that is an improvement. Okay. Kyle Robinette.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I own 3124 Lexington in Cloverdale, Idlewild, and I'm requesting two things. The first thing is to put a fence with a gate, or part of a fence with a gate across the side of the house. because the only door to the backyard is actually out the side. So I want to be able to enclose that back area with a gated fence. And then a shed in the backyard where there used to be a garage back there. I believe it was destroyed in 2005. And you can tell the footprint of it because grass doesn't grow there. So I was going to put a shed in that area.
Actually, that's pretty easy to see, isn't it?
Can you see it in the pictures? I didn't know if you could say, okay, yeah, it's pretty easy to see where the shed was. And I think it was destroyed, I believe, Chris, it was 2005? Is that?
I think there was a request to demolish it when someone also reopened the front porch. So
I remember that.
I was there in 2005. I don't remember it.
There,
I mean, we had a storm in 2005. I remember that.
it was probably something like, well, you remember my old garage?
Yeah.
It was probably leaning like that.
Probably, but yeah.
But yeah, if you look at that one on the lower right there, you can kind of see the side of the house where I want to put the fence, kind of across the back part of that drive, and then tie it into the other fence.
Saw it today walking my dog, as a matter of fact.
Explain to me your passion for a blue fence.
I am not passionate about it at all. So there's no real passion there. The thing is, there's the gable vents on both sides of 3124 are painted that color.
Okay.
So we were trying to complement that color in the house, but I'm not married to that at all. So zero passion, Mrs. Brown.
Is the plan for the fence to match the gate? I see the example.
I'm sorry, the white, sir?
The fence, is it going to match the gate? I see a picture of the gate.
Yeah, the gate and the fence would be the same. They would look the same, would look integral like it was just a fence, but it would open
Same
up.
pattern.
Yeah, yes, sir, it'd be the same. But yeah, in one of those, man, that's really, sorry on the projection. Hopefully your prints are better, but those gable vent covers or vent areas are painted that it's like a dark slate gray blue. And so we were going to try and use that to complement. And the garden shed we were going to do in the same area, almost like that picture in the stock photo there.
It's a nice looking shed.
It is, yeah, for a prefab. Now I just have to build it.
Where did the picture come from for the shed? Is it
I'm sorry,
currently-
ma'am, say again?
Is that shed currently in place, or did you take?
Oh, no, ma'am, that's a stock photo from the website.
Oh, okay.
That's the,
From
that-
Costco.
some- yeah,
Yeah, it's on Costco.
it's a prefab, it's Costco.
Yeah.
Good old Costco.
Yep. Any other comments? A motion then?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Chance Wheeler, Capitol Heights, 2029 Madison Avenue. Boy, you're doing a lot of work on this house.
Excuse me. Yes, ma'am. Hey, everybody. What we're going to be trying to do is there's a deck out back, or here, we'll start at the front since it's up top. So we want to build a pergola to the right of the house, right in that kind of open section. Currently, what's boarded up right now, there's going to be a set of French doors there to match the original 12-light doors that were originally there. The pergola is going to have a ledger board across the front, and then also Miss Christie made a note about how it would be attached to the house and the porch, and that is going to be the case. If you can go back up, well, I don't know if it matters. I think they have it on screen, but you can't see in that picture. But there's a little brick column right there on the right side of the house. The far right side, there's like a 3-foot brick column. So kind of what I'm thinking is to come off of that column with the post. And so you'll have a ledger board off the house, that post, a board tying it in there, and a board tying it in to the porch. So there'll only be one post, and it'll be the same height as the rafter tails coming out the bottom. So that's the pergola. Moving to the back. Yeah, the back. Kind of, that's an example of what we're thinking. Moving to the back is kind of the cards we were dealt. When we bought the house, there was an addition on the back that had no siding. It's just black tar paper. So what we're proposing to do there is a hardy plank board and batten siding. It's what's most closely going to match what's in the gables of the house currently. Is similar to a board and batten. And then in the gable of that little addition, we'd like to do like a little cedar shake type look, but in hardy, just to give it some flair. And then there's a deck there currently that's just dilapidated, it's rotten. Just gonna take it down and upscale it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, so it's more useful. And then we're also gonna have handrails, 42-inch handrails, just a standard deck handrail, nothing fancy about it.
All right. Comments from the audience? From the board?
Are you planning to paint the pergola, or will it be stained kind of like a picture, or hadn't decided?
I think to best match, to be honest with you, I'm a little undecided, and maybe y'all can weigh in and give me y'all's opinion. One option, of course, is to paint it white, which is what the rafter tails and the current trim on the house is. Another option is just to do some kind of neutral brown stain. Really, to be honest with you, I'm kind of torn.
Well, your house is sort of a composition of dark bottom and light top with those gable ends. The bottom of your house is dark, and then the top is light, so maybe a darker color on the body would be better.
That's what, and if we did a stain, it would be, a darker, probably a brown. Yeah, it would be a brown stain.
Yeah, like a darker color would blend in.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me.
Well, I think as long as it's on the pallet, you won't have to come back to ask permission unless you go crazy. So.
Yes, sir.
But I agree with them. A little darker probably good.
No pink pergolas. Gotcha.
That's true. Very true. All right. May I have a motion on this project?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
Could we do that as presented instead of submitted, since he made some alterations?
Okay.
That's agreed.
Yeah. Motion to approve as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Anderson, Capitol Parkway. Christy Anderson, do you know her?
Yeah, bring her up here. You got some questions?
I hope it's an approved color.
It's not.
It's not.
Get you to say yes. My name is Christy Anderson. I am here for 101 South Capitol Parkway. Part of the request, as many of you know, projects do not go like you think they're going to, so we have not started this house yet, and our approval has expired. When we asked to remove a failing furnace chimney off the rear slope of the roof and change out a non-original side door for a 1/1 window, which we may or may not do, but I'm going to ask you to reapprove that anyway. And then the color palette. The body color and the sash color are, they're close, but maybe not as substantially similar to the palette as they should be. But as Elizabeth commented earlier, being a craftsman house and the arts and crafts movement being a reaction to the Victorian era, they used a lot of deep saturated earth tones. So I'm proposing the black fox for the body, relentless olive for the trim and sash, and then on the main front door and the rear door, either the Sierra Redwood or the Poetry Plum. The other doors on the house would be painted the Relentless Olive. And then there's an off-white gossamer veil. It's got a cornice band all the way around the house under the eave, so the cornice and the under the eaves would be painted that gossamer white color.
All right. Any comments on this project from the audience? From the board?
I will say Rich thought maybe we should paint the house green and the trim dark, but I think that may be too relentless. That may be too much Relentless Olive.
If he would like that done, ask him to come up here himself. I have a few questions for Mr. Anderson. Don't go crazy. Don't not to go nuts now.
Ms. Anderson, which color did you say the columns would be?
The columns, you know, I haven't decided. They will not be green. I will just say that. They'll either be the off-white or the dark color to kind of ground it. It kind of depends on, I don't know. Haven't figured that out yet. But not green. I will promise you they will not be green.
Not green.
I worry that white is going to be too contrasty with everything.
You think so?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Not that I don't like white, but maybe it needs to be tannish.
Could do tannish. I mean, the whites, I mean, we could find something. That was one of the complementary colors for the Relentless Olive, but I did not look at ones with the black fox, which is what it would be up against.
Okay. Yes.
So I will look at that.
Okay. There are no more questions. May I have a motion? Please give me a motion, someone.
I will move to approve as presented, because I'm not quite sure if any changes from the request remain. So move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Number 12, Cindy Borntrager withdrew her request, so we are now finished with the work of the board today. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting where I did not attend?
I move to approve the minutes from the previous last month's meeting.
Second?
I second that motion.
All in favor? Opposed?
I abstain because I didn't
All
read
right,
them.
the meeting is adjourned.